All right, this is another Trench Crusade video, but again, this will be my second rantish video about Trench Crusades. However, I've got good news to go with it, so don't whatever. It has come to my attention that apparently Trench Crusade on their Discord, they are extremely like anti-Western, anti-conservative. I assume anti-Christian, but I don't know, since they seem to, at least in the lore, refer to Christ as the Lord and everything. But, that don't mean anything, I guess. This is something that I heard, and I'm going to have to double check this. Because if it's true, it's absolutely ridiculous. And that is that in Trench Crusade, colonialism never happened. And I will explain why this one is silly, but two, also super left. Colonialism is not a bad thing, no matter what people try to tell you. It is a thing. So anyone who's got a problem with colonialism, automatically that they're probably stupid, because it's just a thing that happens, and it's not good. It's not bad. It's just when two cultures go to war and one culture defeats the other culture, that's the way it goes. So we've got the timeline, looking at it. Apparently, you've got Moravia, so Vlad Tepes is a thing. But what they've kind of done is I don't see anything saying otherwise, they've basically decided that no one colonized anyone. So the United States never happened. It's not even a British colony. It's just, it's like that. And so England never, created the Raj in India or settled in Taiwan. Like, basically tons of stuff that happened within this timeline didn't happen. And also, they talk about Abrahamic religions, but I can't help but notice one of them is not mentioned anywhere in the timeline. So it's like, did all the Jewish people just die out? Is that basically, is the lore basically that all of the Jewish people were killed? Because even though this is an alternate universe, there are certain things that have to remain true, right? So, okay, where are the Hebrews? Where are the Jews? Did they all die in Jerusalem when the gates of hell were open? And if no one ever colonized anyone ever, then why would there ever be crusades? Because the Muslim Arabs never would have left Saudi Arabia and conquered the lands that, Jerusalem was on. So it's almost as if there's a little bit of like double standard wokeism where, certain cultures expanded and conquered areas and other cultures did not. And that's so weird. Also, where is Russia? Imperial Russia existed prior to 1099. You know that, right? The Kiev and Rus were a thing. So if you're keeping Russia off of the map because you're mad about their current kicking the shit out of Ukraine, that is kind of stupid. It's stupid and it over politicizes the game, right? The fact of the matter is that unless somehow you're going to argue that demonic forces conquered Russia, which you could, that's fine. Russia would exist. It's because it would. I mean, Russia accepted Christianity in 988 under Vladimir the Great. And it wasn't too long after that they threw off. Oh, wait, did the Mongolians conquer half of the world? Or you see, I could be real smarmy about this. It's like, what do you mean exactly by no one colonized anyone? So Christopher Columbus in 1492 never sailed across the ocean. Nobody sailed across the ocean. And the thing you have to remember is the fact that there is a major war going on, that wouldn't prevent exploration. That would probably expedite it as nations begin looking around for, ways around here and there, whatever, right? And the other issue is this: the Aztec religion. And I know a lot of people hate when anybody speaks poorly of indigenous people. They were not indigenous. They migrated there from somewhere else. So, if you really want to go the No Colonialism Act, there should be no humans in North America unless you believe in the Moon-eyed people and the red-headed giants that were actually eating the native people, as we call them, when they first arrived, until they were wiped out by those same, native tribes or Indian tribes, right? So Aztec religion, by any standard, is evil. They committed horrid human sacrifice, cannibalism. They painted buildings in blood. No, this is not what the colonists wrote. This is what they wrote. This is a fact. We know they did this, right? We know that Tlaloc and the other gods that they worshipped were incredibly, just horrendously freaking diabolic, just terrible, right? So if Spain never destroys the Aztec Empire and Portugal, they never civilize the people down there. Basically, hell automatically owns the New World. Since, as I said, the Aztecs worshiping their foul gods more than likely being just demons in disguise that have convinced primitive people to worship them, right? And the Muslims, same deal. They're sitting in the middle of Saudi Arabia doing nothing, running leftwise around the Kaaba, which was an altar to Baal, who is one of the big demons of the Bible. So you've got a second group that's fallen. The third group, Jewish people. They don't believe in Christ. So if you have a world where, Christ is literally taking action, where do they stand in this? They're pretty hosed. The Hindus, they worship, the essence, but also divided into the various aspects. At the end of the day, it's not Christianity. Therefore, you have that issue there. And that's the thing. I know this is supposed to be an alternate world. I get it before someone says, well, it's an alternate world. But if you're going to play in an alternate world, you can't change basic things. Like, you can't have artwork of a doughboy with a Thompson machine gun if the United States never existed. Because unless you're going to take the credit for the Thompson machine gun and give it to some other country, like the British must have invented it. But no. As I said, as soon as a major, huge war like described started going on between the forces of hell and the forces of humanity in heaven, you would have even more people moving around and looking for things, right? The ocean would be a battleground from England to New England. So this weird, there, no one colonized anybody except some people did colonize other people, except none of the Europeans did. It's blatantly uh, unrealistic and borderline racist towards Europeans. And regardless of what anybody's college professor may have tricked them into believing, or what other crazy stuff that somebody may have read, yes, you can be racist against European people. You absolutely can. It happens all the time. So this is something that, Trench Crusades really should look into. Whether the United States and Canada exist still as part of the British Empire or not, they would still be a thing. I mean, can you imagine all of the resources available in the New World for the war against hell? And you're telling me that none of the European powers were willing to go over there and get them? They weren't even willing to send pirates and privateers over there to deal with that stuff. No. That's bad story writing. And it's bad story writing, not only, again, because it doesn't make any sense. Here I am painting my communicant. Not only does it make no sense whatsoever, it's bad story writing because you're only targeting one group of people to decolonize from your world. And you need to realize what you're really doing is you are stopping people from playing your game in a good, authentic way, right? Because I'm going to be playing pilgrims who are from Imperial Russia. I'm not from the Free States of Prussia. Nope. My guys are from Imperial Russia. They served the czars. And they like to use the flamethrowers and stuff because they served St. Olga, who was, I believe, in Kiev. Back when Kiev was the capital of the Kievan Rus, or at least one of the major cities, right? And my people will probably, in our storyline that me and my buddy have been making up about how we're going to play the game, will be devoted to the liberation of Constantinople from the forces of hell or the forces of Islam. It doesn't matter. Constantinople will be freed along with the Hagia Sophia. as it should be. Now, this ignoring Russia, ignoring, the empire, the czars, ignoring the fact that you would have had tons of countries settling the new world, things probably would have went just about the same way as they did in real life. The British was set up colonies and started harvesting everything they could to keep the war effort going. And on the other hand, the forces of hell would have been sending out their fleets and submarines to do everything they can to stop the transatlantic trade. So it would literally be like World War One, where colonies or the liberated United States would be shipping goods, men, etc., to Europe and to the Middle East to help fight the forces of hell. And of course, the forces of hell would be doing everything they can to prevent it, because the last thing they want is a bunch of doughboys showing up, singing over there, and etc. So yeah, this choice that has been made is obviously a political choice based on real world bullshit that no one in their right mind actually believes. And for my part, is it enough to make me quit playing the game? No. Because one, the game is free. For me, I spend a little bit of money on a couple of STLs, but really it's free. I have enough miniatures of every type laying around here that I could make any army. I've even got a box of Arabs. Actually, I've got like 4 boxes. So if I wanted to make, a Zebs, I could mod it up pretty easy, right? Plus, I've got a 3D printer, and everything in the book can be found for free somewhere online. So you don't even, it's like, if you don't want to support the company because they are being jackasses and, typically British, a failed nation, Britain, you don't have to. You can just buy your STLs, if you're going to do that, from someone else. If you don't have a 3D printer, you can get them from Etsy. There are many, many creators that make the game, like alternate sculpts and stuff like that. So yeah, you can play this game for free without ever giving a dime to the overly woke, it seems, people who have designed it. But I would say this, and I'll link this to their webpage. Before you get all crazy with the, we're going to add real world politics and anti-colonialism to the thing, especially the English guy who made Mordheim, who's working on the rules. Dude, your whole country has been colonized. Like, if you live in England, your whole country has been colonized by people from Pakistan and everything. So who are you, or whomever made the decision? If it's a woman, fire her immediately, because there's nothing in the world worse than liberal white women. But who in the world are you to say anything about colonization when you guys are sitting on your ass being colonized currently, and you're not willing to do anything about it because you have been tricked? I say tricked into just being paranoid, or not paranoid, paralyzed with self-loathing. So, you don't want to say, hey, that's enough, because heaven forbid, you know, you might be called the R word. Oh no. And you apparently are trying to prove that you're not. Well, you know, kicking a whole country out of the game, the United States, the number one buyer of games in the world, uh, just because, you know, and also pretending Russia doesn't exist when it's one of the most powerful nations to ever exist, because of, I can only assume, your stupid loyalty to that rat-faced man in the green shirt. It's worse than just being bad politically. It's bad storytelling. It makes your game setting lame. It makes your game setting lame. So, as I said, in my game setting, guess what? The Russian Empire exists and is fighting their asses off to help New Antioch and whomever else, and also to recover Constantinople and drive to the south. The United States does exist. It's not all the way to the western coast, but it exists. And it spends its time and industrial might supporting the war. And also, because let's be honest, almost everything cool was invented in America, right? Creating weapons, sending troops, etc., to England and New Antioch to help support the war effort. That is what the United States is actually doing in the actual real Trench Crusade lore, which I've decided I would write, because you guys are obviously very bad writers. The Aztecs were defeated. However, there are still some people who want to worship those false gods and commit, cannibalism, human sacrifice, etc., which the forces of hell love. They love that. That's, so the Aztecs are their boys from the get go, like from the get go, the Aztecs are going to be like way up on the list of favorite people for the forces of hell, right? As well as any of the other tribes that were into cannibalism and human sacrifice and stuff like that by this time. So let's just go ahead and say that no, Spain has brought the light of the church to these people and has colonized them, put an end to their stuff, or perhaps that's a second front. Spain and allies versus demonic Aztec warriors. And before somebody says, well, that's racist. No, because any of the natives that convert to Christianity would 100% be able to fight for the armies of God. Only the ones who actively go out of their way to worship these demons are, in league with the heretics and hell. So, yeah, that is like in 10 seconds, I have come up with a better setting than the actual creator of the game did, because they have allowed their political leanings to affect the game that they're trying to design. And you would think, in light of everything that has gone on in gaming and everything lately, they would be wary of that, since It turns out all that lefty DEI stuff in video games and movies and stuff has just caused failure after failure after failure. And unless you're trying to actively uh, instigate some kind of negative emotion out of Christians with your game, which I really don't know if that would be a great idea. Because it turns out there's a lot of us. We're all over the place. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are in positions of power and could determine whether you ever get another job or not. So yeah, I'm talking cancel culture, because if people are being idiots, that's what they need, right? That's what they need. And you know, being prejudice against an entire group of people is it's not acceptable in today's world, you know. I mean, are you wanting to go the route of Dragon Age Velguard, which no one will tell you was a good game and actually not be lying? Like, anyone who tells you Dragon Age Velguard was a good game is lying to you. And you should know that. You're being lied to. So, yeah, there you go. You know, wars don't make where people don't travel to distant lands and stuff. That's insane. Wars make people travel to distant lands looking for resources and stuff. I mean, most of the best exploration we did in Antarctica was during and directly after the war, World War II. So yeah, just this whole idea, you know, and it's like you have Orthodox Christian iconography all over the place, but you're going to pretend like what, Russia doesn't exist? I mean, where do you think the Orthodox Church, you know, is at its strongest? Well, Greece and Russia. So, yeah, that's just, you know, if there's some kind of political thing being jammed into this game, as I've said, so now I'm repeating myself, it needs to go. It needs to go ASAP. I mean, you can create a good game and not bow to modern sensibilities. And even if this game, as I have already said, I want to reiterate this, even if this game is supposedly set in an alternate history, certain things are always going to happen, no matter what the alternate history is, right? Uh, since the Europeans developed the ability to cross the sea before the people in America did, we crossed the sea. And since our technology was so much better, mainly because who knows, all the wars we fought, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe God gave us better weapons to defeat these people and bring them into the light. Regardless, these are things that aren't going to be changed. And acting like they would be is that's not an alternate universe, you know? That's not an alternate universe. That is a fantastical universe that could not possibly exist. And like I said, also the picking and choosing who got to colonize who. I want to reiterate this for all the people. Islam came out of Saudi Arabia in the 8th century or so and conquered all these lands that now people think are Islamic lands, but were originally uh, the people who lived there were Christians, and forced conversions or enslaved all the people. And if you didn't want to uh, do the thing, they would make you pay a tax for not being a Muslim. The Jezza, I believe it is. And they then began attacking Europe nonstop for around 400 years. Eventually, they destroyed the Eastern Empire. They invaded Austria a couple of times. They invaded Spain for a couple of times. So, when we talk about in this world, no one colonized anyone, then Islam shouldn't even exist. It would have just been a group of desert tribes around Mecca, Medina that just kind of hung out and didn't do anything. And therefore, Eastern Rome, I guess, wouldn't exist. See, that's the thing. When you say no one colonized anyone, it's like, well, when do we start and stop that colonization thing, right? I mean, because Vikings were in the New World way, way back. And Christopher Columbus in 1492, and colonies all over the damn place, lickety split, and wars with Indian tribes, and the destruction of the evil Aztec Empire because they tried to feed the Spanish missionaries that went to meet their king roast human child, and that didn't fly. So pretty much, to the people writing this game, pull your heads out of your asses and write good lore, right? That makes sense. It's kind of like how all the Heretic Legion guys are equipped like World War I Germans, even though the Holy Roman Empire, which is Germany, is the good guy. And the helmets, the style helm that all the bad guys wear, no, that would be the style of helmet that the good guys should be wearing. But instead, the good guys are wearing, I don't know what kind of helmet that's supposed to be. The British war hat. So, I mean, you can definitely tell the British came up with this, but it's also very obvious that whichever Brit is coming up with this, or American, just has zero knowledge of actual history, um, and has just decided to run amok with it. I mean, I almost admire the chutzpah, really, the chutzpah. I mean, that's some moxie right there. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll probably link this to their webpage so they can watch it and be like, oh, there's a guy out there that's saying we're full of shit. And all of you guys who, I don't want to put anyone off from playing this game, just make up your own lore, because, I mean, it's obvious that whatever lore you make up is probably going to be way better than the official lore. Also, don't go to their Discord, because I've heard horrible things about their Discord. Horrible things. Like, if you say anything even remotely right-wing sounding, they'll just flip off and ban you. And I think it's because they've got like a woman or a boy pretending to be a woman as their lead moderator. So anytime you do that, you're going to have problems. So there you go. Catch you later.